Hey guys, it's Jackie. I wanted to come on here and do a little bit of a different video for you guys, so I hope you don't mind. A couple of you have asked for this. You requested this story. It's kind of like a story time, but it's a true story. It's, to me. I will let you know up front, if you do not believe in these things or you're not sure, don't watch the video. I'm going to be talking about pennies from heaven. If you don't believe in angels or the afterlife or whatever it is, no hate comments, no drama. This is just my story, my version of things that have gone on in my life in the last probably 9 to 10 years. And so I wanted to share it. A couple of you had commented, you had asked me about it, you had talked about your stories. So I'd love to hear it below. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I usually review anything from makeup, candles, Scentsy, you can see behind me, Mary Kay. Subscribe, stick around, and let's talk. I'm going to try really, really hard not to cry in this video. I can't guarantee it, but I wanted to come on here and share a little bit with you. So I work in short-term, long-term healthcare. It's for like rehab for physical therapy, occupational therapy, and I've been in and out of nursing home situations for probably, well, since 1997, and I've worked in a couple other jobs, but for most of my adult life, I worked in healthcare. And I was going to school for nursing. That's a whole nother story for a different day. But I wanted to tell you, so back in 2010, sorry, every time I go to talk about something, my nose starts running. I apologize. Back in 2010, my mother-in-law was very sick and she ended up having a triple bypass. And during that time, my mom, since I was 15 years old, she had battled a drug addiction. So we had been going through a lot. And in 2010, my mother-in-law's health really declined. And I could just remember being in a place in my life where I was really like struggling. We had a lot going on, trying to take care of my mom, trying to take care of Joe's mom. It just was a lot. And so there were times when I would find a penny, and it was really weird and really random. And I had come across an article in Women's World. I think it's what it's called. It's that real thin magazine you can get at your grocery store, check out. I think it's called Women's World. And it was talking about guardian angels, like people who have passed on and they leave you signs from, the afterlife. And again, if you do not believe in this, please move along. I will delete you or block you if you have anything nasty or negative to say. This is something from my heart that I want to talk about, and that you guys had asked too. So in this article, it talked about if you're not sure who your guardian angel is, ask them. So I was sitting at my desk one day at work, and I've always worked in admissions in this last part of my healthcare, admitting people, running their insurance, and I had gotten up to go into the kitchen at the facility that I worked at the time. And I remember saying, okay, who is my guardian angel? So I had gone into the kitchen, and in the middle of the kitchen, out of nowhere, was a penny on the ground. And it was from 1994. That's the year that my grandma died on my mom's side. And she was the only real grandma that we had grown up with, that we had known. I was 16 when she passed away. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember calling my mom, and I was like, Mom, your mom is my guardian angel. And we just like laughed about it. So from that time frame until when my mom passed away, I would find pennies, not very often, but every once in a while. And you typically would find a penny at a cash register. That's not that abnormal because people drop change and they don't care about it. So fast forward to 2012, Mother's Day. I had taken my mom to the store and she needed a few things, and it was kind of funny. It's funny and not funny. She needed like deodorant, toilet paper. She wanted some Diet Pepsi. She loved Diet Pepsi, and some other random things. So we get up to the cash register, and there, of course, is a penny on the ground. And, I laughed, and I picked it up, put it in my pocket. And I said, Mom, do you want a pack of cigarettes? Because she smoked. And she's like, yeah, get me a carton. And I'm like, Mom, that's like $70. And I look at the cashier and I was like, look, my mom taught me that it's a sin to smoke, and she wants me to buy her smokes. And we laughed or whatever. So we get in the car, and my mom was, had tears rolling down her face. And she said that Now, see, this is where I'm going to get emotional. I'm going to try not to. She said, I think that's my mom thanking you for taking care of me. And my mom passed away a few months later from her drug addiction. And the pennies amped up. And when I say they amped up, I can't even describe to you, sorry, how that happened. So the morning we got the phone call on August 22nd is the phone call we got that I dreaded my whole life, obviously. And my sisters and I, our husbands and my cousin Jamie went to my mom's apartment where she had passed away. And I don't know why we went, because my mom was at the University of Michigan Hospital. They had to investigate her death, and because she died young and circumstances and stuff, so she had an autopsy. And so we went to the apartment. I don't know if it was like kind of like closure or what. I don't know. We just went. And so my sisters and I are walking around, and my baby sister Janice, who made fun of me about the whole penny thing, she was like, oh my God, Jack, look. And I turned around, and my mom's bedroom was on one side, and there was a bathroom across the hallway, and there's a bedroom in between. And on the bottom of the wall was like a molding, and there were 3 pennies. I don't know how you explain that. There were 3 of us. There are 3 of us. And my sister was like, oh my God, it's hard to describe. When you've lost parents or whatever, I'm sure you understand. Or people who are close to you. And it was very, no denying it. So in the last 6 years, I find pennies everywhere, and so do a lot of other people in my life. 14 months later, my mother-in-law was dying, and we took care of her, and we were talking. Her and I, Shirley and I, were talking, and I had told my husband, it's time to call your one brother home from Vegas, and this is not good. And so her and I were talking, and she was laying there, and we were crying, and she was like a mother to me, and she was saying how much I meant to her, and I was like the daughter she had never had, between myself and my sister-in-law, Ange. And, she had 4 boys, so me and Ange were the girls for her. And we were talking, and, we were saying how much we love each other. And I said, hey, leave me dimes, because, dimes were special to my mother-in-law. And then we joked, and I was like, no, leave me $100 bills. And we laughed, and it was really funny. It was like, it broke up the moment. But let me tell you, so that afternoon, my mother-in-law slipped into a coma, and my husband and I went to go get a pop. And here in Michigan, pops are soda pop. And I walked in, and the guy who at our local store that we usually go to a lot, he said, hey, I didn't find any pennies today, but what about this dime? And now we find pennies and dimes together or separately. And I don't know, if you have lost a loved one and you're like, you want a sign from them or something, I don't know, but it brings a lot of comfort to us. A lot of times I will find coins, like pennies and dimes, especially pennies, in the weirdest places. I was in Florida with my aunt and uncle, my mom's brother, right after she died, and we were literally just walking around Macy's, the department store, and there were pennies in random weird places, and my uncle and I were crying. We're like, oh my God, she's leaving us pennies. It just, I don't know, it's just some kind of comfort. So a couple of things that I've done with some pennies that I have kept, or I had one time I had changed all my pennies in, and I bought something in honor of my mom. I like to do that as well. But what I'm going to show you, I have showed before on social media, but this is the picture of my mom and I. This is the last picture we have together. This was in June of 2012. So this is my mom right here on this side, obviously. I'm the younger version of her. And I took this frame and I glued pennies that I had found in different places. And this picture was taken at my sister Jessie's baby shower for her girls, Scarlett and Kira. And I love this picture, obviously, because, it's the last one I have with my mom. But I thought it was, I don't know, it hangs here in this room that we're sitting in. And it's really special to me because these are pennies that I literally have found, since she has passed away. And it brings me joy and comfort. I don't know, it's kind of crazy. And what Joe and I do with the dimes that we find, we put them in a soda pop bottle in our basement. And then when we go on our cruises or our trips, we cash it in and put it towards our trip. And so it's special to us. And this last time we didn't even use our dimes because we just have accumulated them. We just keep throwing them in there and then we'll use them one day. But the first cruise that we had gone on, we had turned those dimes in and just used it. I think we had ended up having like maybe $100 and we used it towards like one of our dinners or something. But that is my story with pennies and dimes. They're very like special to me. And I know it sounds really crazy, but until you have experienced that kind of supernatural, that afterlife experience, you probably wouldn't understand, but that is my story. I feel my mom with me all the time. Other weird things that have happened is I'll smell her perfume, like out in public. And okay, she's not the only one that wore the perfume. I get that. But like in weird random places, I remember one time being in Walmart. It was on Thanksgiving a couple years ago. I want to say it was the year my mother-in-law had passed away. So a year after my mom had passed away, and Joe and I were walking around Walmart and we came around the corner and I was like hit with like, I smelled my mom. It was just so crazy. With my mother-in-law, we obviously live in the family home. The boys all grew up here. And Joe and I don't drink coffee. And at the time that my brother-in-law who lived with us, he didn't drink coffee. And I distinctly, in the last 5 years since my mother-in-law has passed, have woken up in the middle of the night and I could smell a fresh pot of coffee. And no one has made coffee. And this is before I even had coffee candles, this is probably 4 years ago. And I remember just waking up and like, oh my gosh, I smell coffee. And because I used to make my mother-in-law coffee and I would try to get her I thought maybe the smell of coffee would like stimulate her appetite. And so I would make her like a pot of coffee and like, here, Shirley, I made you coffee. So 2 times that I can distinctly remember waking up in the middle of the night and just smelling a fresh pot of coffee. And so that kind of thing, it like brings you comfort. I don't know if you've lost any loved ones or if you've had any of these kind of experiences. I'd love to hear about them. It's a really probably, maybe a taboo topic for some people. But I feel like if we aren't talking about our loved ones, then their memories die. So for my nephews and nieces, I talk about their grandparents and I will say, oh my gosh, your grandma did this, or, whichever side it is, or grandma would have said that. And, things like that, because I want their memories to stay alive because they were all so young, especially for my sister, Jessie. Her girls were only 5 weeks old when my mom passed away. So I want to keep their memories alive. And I'll say, on my side, my mom was called Maggie. And on my husband's side, my mother-in-law, they called her Bubba. And so I'll say, to the one set, and there are 2 sets of twins that I'm always telling this to. And then my baby sister has 3 kids and I'm always telling them and stuff. Especially my niece Brianna and Savannah, they always like to talk about my mom too. But I like to keep their memory alive because I think it's important. If we're not talking about them, what's going on? And if you guys haven't watched the movie Coco by Disney, oh my God, whatever you do, don't watch it in public. I was bawling like a baby watching that movie. I watched it flying down to Florida, and it was awful. It was so embarrassing. I looked like, yeah. It was not, I was just like, oh my God, I just watched Coco. And people are like, oh, okay. But watch Coco, you'll understand. But anyways, I wanted to share with you, that's from my heart. That's my experience. That's why pennies and dimes are so, important to me. But if you have similar stories, I'd love to hear it. I hope you guys are doing well. It's Wednesday. Every Wednesday, my dad texts me and he says, hey, Jackie, what day is it? And I'm always like, it's hump day. And it's a fun tradition. So I hope you guys had a good hump day and I will talk to you soon. Bye.